I'm standing in front of the mirror this morning and I noticed something I didn't see last month. My hands. They're not my hands anymore. The skin is thinner, paper thin really, and there are these spots, these age spots I used to see on my parents and think to myself, I'll never look like that. But here I am at 75, and I'm looking exactly like that. My name is Michael, and I need to tell you something that nobody prepared me for. After 75, your body doesn't just change, it transforms. And if you're not ready for it, if you don't understand what's happening, it can break you in ways that have nothing to do with physical pain. See, I spent 50 years not thinking about my body at all. I took it for granted the way we all do when we're young. I could run upstairs without breathing hard. I could work a full day and still have energy for my kids. I could eat whatever I wanted and wake up the next morning feeling fine. My body was just there, reliable, doing what I asked of it without complaint. I never said thank you. I never appreciated it. I just assumed it would always work that way. But that assumption, it cost me something I can never get back. It cost me time. Let me take you back to when I was 72. I wasn't old yet, not really. Or at least, that's what I told myself. I was still working part-time as a consultant. I was still playing golf on weekends. I still felt like myself, like the 40-year-old version of me was still in here somewhere, just getting older on the outside. I remember my wife asking me to go see a doctor for a checkup, just a routine physical, and I kept putting it off. I was busy, I felt fine. Why would I go to a doctor if nothing was wrong? That's the lie we tell ourselves, that nothing is wrong, until suddenly everything is. At 73, something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. There was no illness, no accident, no heart attack like my friend had experienced years before. It was smaller than that, which made it worse in a way. I noticed I couldn't run anymore. Not wouldn't run. Couldn't. I tried one morning, decided to jog around the park like I used to do twice a week. Made it maybe 200 yards before my knees started screaming at me. Not in pain exactly, but in this sharp protest, like my body was telling me that chapter was closed. I walked back home feeling something I'd never felt before. I felt old. That's when everything started to happen faster. Within the next year, my hearing got worse. I'd always had good hearing, or so I thought. But suddenly I was asking people to repeat themselves. My wife would talk to me from the other room and I couldn't make out the words. I convinced myself I was just distracted, that I was working too much, that it wasn't a real problem. I didn't want to acknowledge what it meant. Getting hearing aids meant admitting something to myself. It meant admitting that the version of me I'd built my identity around was fading. Then came the sleep, or the lack of it. I've always been someone who slept well. Hit my head on the pillow, fell asleep, woke up refreshed, but in my mid-70s, that stopped. I'd wake up at 3s in the morning for no reason, my mind racing, unable to fall back asleep. I'd lie there in the dark, conscious of every ache, every place my body was uncomfortable, counting the hours until I could get up. The next day I'd be exhausted, irritable, less patient with my wife and grandchildren. I tried everything. I changed my bedroom temperature, cut out caffeine, stopped looking at my phone. Nothing worked consistently. Some nights I'd sleep. Most nights I wouldn't. And there was this despair that came with it, this quiet panic that I was losing control of my own body. But here's what I didn't know then, what I'm only now understanding at 75. The changes were trying to tell me something. They weren't punishment. They weren't random cruelty. They were information. Around 74, I finally went to see a doctor, not because I suddenly became wise, because my daughter, who's in her 40s, like you probably are, sat me down and essentially told me I was being stupid. She said, "Dad, you wouldn't drive a car for 75 years without ever taking it to a mechanic. Why are you doing that with your body?" That one sentence broke through something. I made an appointment. The doctor ran tests, blood work, hearing test, cognitive screening, all of it. And what I discovered wasn't the disaster I'd feared. It was information. My hearing loss was real but manageable with proper hearing aids. which actually meant I could hear my grandchildren better than I had in years. My sleep issues were related to my prostate, something that could be addressed. My blood pressure was slightly elevated but controlled with medication. My cholesterol was good. My heart was strong. I wasn't dying. I was just getting older, and there were specific, manageable things that happened when you do. That's the thing nobody tells you. They prepare you for crisis. They prepare you for disease. But nobody prepares you for normal aging. Nobody tells you what to expect. Nobody explains that your body is going to make these changes that feel like betrayals, but are actually just biology doing what biology does when you've been alive for 75 years. After I started getting actual medical care, after I got hearing aids and addressed the sleep issues and started taking the medications my doctor recommended, something unexpected happened. I stopped feeling old. Not because I suddenly felt young again. That ship has sailed. I'm not going to be jogging around the park. That version of my life is over. But I felt like myself again. I felt capable. I felt like I could still do meaningful things, just differently. Let me tell you what changed practically. First, I stopped fighting the changes and started working with them. My knees don't want to run? Fine. I started swimming. The water holds your body up. You get the exercise, you protect your joints, and you feel weightless in a way you don't feel on land anymore. I've been swimming for 3 years now. It's meditative. I'm stronger than I was at 72, even though my body looks more fragile. Second, I accepted that my body needs more maintenance than it used to. I take medications. I see doctors regularly. I do physical therapy exercises that feel ridiculous but actually make a difference. I stretch every morning. It takes 20 minutes. I could resent those 20 minutes. Instead, I've come to see them as a conversation with my body, a way of saying, I hear you. I understand what you need. I'm going to take care of you. That shift from resistance to acceptance changed everything. Third, and this is important, I stopped measuring my life by what I can't do anymore and started measuring it by what I can. I can't run a marathon, but I can spend a full day with my grandchildren and keep up with them. I can't work 80-hour weeks like I used to, but I mentor younger colleagues, and that feels more meaningful than the grinding I did when I was their age. I can't eat a whole pizza and feel fine the next morning, but I've learned to cook, actually cook, paying attention to ingredients, and food tastes better now. The things I can do, when I focus on them, turn out to be the things that actually matter. Fourth, I learned that admitting struggle isn't weakness. For years, I thought asking for help or showing that I was struggling was a failure of character. I'd tough it out. I'd pretend everything was fine. But toughing it out just meant I suffered in silence while the people around me worried about me anyway. Once I stopped pretending, once I could say to my wife, I'm struggling with this, or to my doctor, I don't understand what's happening to my body, things got better. Vulnerability, it turns out, is more powerful than strength when you're facing something you can't control. But here's what I want you to understand about all of this, because I'm telling you this story for you, not for me. You're probably in your 30s, 40s, or 50s right now. You feel like you have time. You feel like you're invincible. You look at people my age and you think, that won't happen to me. I'll age differently. I'll be the exception. I thought that too. I was certain of it, and then I wasn't. The things your body can do right now, the things you take for granted, running without pain, sleeping deeply, hearing clearly, remembering names and dates easily, moving through the world without thinking about what your body needs, these things are not permanent. They're not promises. They're privileges that expire. Not for everyone at the same age, but they expire. And when they do, if you haven't prepared yourself mentally, it can feel like a death of the person you thought you were. So here's what I wish someone had told me when I was your age. Start paying attention to your body now. Not obsessively, not anxiously, just with genuine curiosity and respect. Notice how you feel after you eat certain foods. Pay attention to your sleep. Move your body in ways that feel good, not just in ways that punish it. Do the stretches. Do the strength training, not because you need to look a certain way or prove something to anyone, but because you're building resilience for the person you're going to be in 30 years. You're having a conversation with your 75-year-old self right now, and that person is going to thank you for it. Go to the doctor. I know it's boring. I know you feel fine. Go anyway. Get the baseline. Know your numbers. Know what's normal for your body. Because when something changes, you'll know, and you'll catch it early when things are most manageable. Don't wait for crisis to learn about your body. Don't wait until something breaks to understand how it works. Read about aging. Understand what happens. It's not shameful. It's not a defeat. It's the next chapter, and like all chapters, it's easier to navigate if you know what's coming. And most importantly, start thinking now about how you define yourself. Because the things your body can do, they're not who you are. They're just things your body does. If your entire identity is built on being the fastest, the strongest, the most energetic, the most capable, well, you're building a house on sand. At 75, I had to completely rebuild my sense of self. I had to figure out who I was when I couldn't do the things I'd always done. That's hard. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but if you do that work now, in your 40s, while you still have choices, you won't have to do it in crisis the way I did. I'm 75 years old now. My knees don't work like they used to. My hearing isn't what it was. My body requires attention and maintenance and, frankly, more patience than it used to. And I'm fine. Better than fine. I'm actually happier than I was at 55 when I thought I was invincible, because now I appreciate what my body can do. I notice the small things: a morning without pain, a night of good sleep, a day where I have the energy to spend time with people I love. These things feel like gifts now. They feel miraculous. And they are. But I have to tell you, they wouldn't feel that way if I hadn't learned to accept the changes. If I hadn't stopped fighting my age and started living it intentionally. So here's my question for you, and I mean this. What are you going to do with what you know right now? Are you going to wait until your body forces you to pay attention? Or are you going to start now, in your 40s, building the foundation for a healthy, intentional relationship with your body? Because the person you're going to be at 75, they're depending on the choices you make today. And unlike some of the other things in life, this one thing, taking care of your body, this is actually within your control. You still have time. Use it wisely. Please. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. What's one thing about aging that scares you? What's one thing you're grateful your body can still do? Leave a comment, share your story, and if you found something valuable here, please subscribe and hit that notification button. There's so much more to talk about, so many more stories to share, and I don't know how much time I have left to share them. So please don't wait. Connect with this community now.